In February 2026, former politician Julian Silvera was able to plead guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter in relation to the death of his wife Melissa on the grounds of provocation. On today's Justice Files, the story of a soldier who attempted to introduce provocation after the fact in a bid to get his sentence reduced. He walked into the barracks with blood on his shirt and a rag around his hand. Hours later, police opened his car and found a young woman in the front seat, her throat cut. He told detectives one story, then he told the jury another. "47-year-old Bernard Ballentyne was a member of the Jamaica Defence Force National Reserve in Mandeville. He served as a driving instructor. Chanel Norris was 23, a third-year social work student at Northern Caribbean University. They had known each other since February 2009. On August 11, 2010, everything unraveled. Around 6:30 p.m., a soldier saw Ballentyne entering Foster Barracks from Hart Road looking frightened, with bloodstains on his shirt and a bloodstained rag on his left hand. He was escorted to the guard room. There, he tried to grab a rifle, was restrained, then pulled a bloodstained knife from his waist and pressed it to his throat before it was knocked away. He said, "Somebody shoot me." Soldiers took his car keys from the table and went to find the vehicle. Not on Perth Road as he'd said, but on Hart Road. The passenger seat was reclined. A denim jacket covered the face of a woman. When they pulled it back, they saw her throat was cut. Later, she was identified as Chanel Norris. That same day at Mandeville Police Station, the investigating officer cautioned Ballentyne and showed him the knife and blood-stained rag taken at the barracks. According to the officer, Ballentyne said, "I fi me knife. Me use it to open a fruit cocktail for Chanel and an argument develop. Me get cut by my big finger and me use the knife and cut her throat." He said he used the rag to band his thumb. The post-mortem found 12 injuries. 2 were fatal. There were defensive wounds on the hands. The pathologist said a knife like the one seized could have caused the fatal wounds. DNA analysis found components of Chanel's profile on an area of the knife and on Ballentyne's shirt. The Crown's case was largely circumstantial, but anchored by Ballentyne's own words in custody and by what soldiers observed: blood on his shirt, the knife and rag at the barracks, the body in his car on Hart Road, and the forensic findings linking the knife and his clothing to the deceased. On the stand, Ballentyne denied everything. He testified that they'd met peacefully, parked at their favorite spot, and he opened a fruit cocktail with his knife. He claimed 2 men with knives appeared. A struggle followed. He disarmed one and ran to the camp, leaving Chanel alive in the car. He denied telling police he cut her throat. The jury rejected his account. They convicted him of murder. The judge imposed life imprisonment, stipulating 20 years before being eligible for parole. On appeal, Ballentyne argued the trial was unfair. He said the judge failed to deal adequately with his defense, that DNA circumstantial directions were inadequate, and that provocation should have been factored in by the jury. His lawyers argued that provocation would have reduced the charge from murder to manslaughter. Ballentyne also challenged the 20-year parole stipulation as manifestly excessive. The court held the trial judge properly directed on circumstantial evidence and DNA, reminding jurors that DNA narrows possibilities but must be weighed with all the evidence. The confession evidence, if accepted as voluntary and credible, could support conviction. Provocation did not arise on the evidence. There was no specific word or act by the deceased shown to have caused loss of self-control. The 20-year pre-parole period was not manifestly excessive given the nature and number of injuries and the circumstances. The result: leave to appeal refused, conviction and sentence stand. 2 stories, 1 judgment. In custody, he said there was an argument and admitted cutting her throat. In court, he denied it all. The evidence on the knife, the clothes, the guardroom, the car on Hart Road, and the medical findings carried the day. The Court of Appeal left no doubt. This was murder, with a lawful sentence to match. This has been Justice Files, because every sentence has a story.